بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي المؤمنين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد ولد آدم أجمعين وبعد. We'd like to thank each and every single one of you once again for taking time out of your Sunday evening to join us for the second installment of the Big Three. Last time we talked about our youth, their outlook on their parents and some things that they may feel and what they're going through. We talked about parents, their outlook on their children and what they may be going through. And then we talked about the society that we're in. That was more geared to the parents to help them kind of get insight into, maybe how their children think, how their children are feeling, but also to share the concerns that many parents have for their kids and, to discuss openly the general concerns of the society that we live in. This week, though, is going to be more geared towards the youth, but bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, everyone will be able to benefit from the concepts that we're going to discuss today, especially, the concept of time management and service. When you get older, friendship, it kind of takes on a different connotation. So we have to bring something special, for married couples, for parents, with regards to that. But before we get into these topics of the Big Three, I want us to kind of all just take a minute to clear our minds and to reflect. Anytime we have these discussions or these talks, the primary things that we want to look at is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to think about our Creator and what role our Creator plays in our life, whether it be with our time management, whether it be with the friends that we choose, and whether, with our free time, the type of service that we give or the service that we're not giving, not just, religious service, which we'll discuss today, but we always want to think about Allah. Oftentimes, whenever people talk about zikrullah, the remembrance of Allah, sometimes it can seem kind of impractical. How am I supposed to remember Allah all the time? How am I supposed to think about Allah in everything that's happening in all these different situations? Zikrullah is actually a pretty simple concept. It's just whenever you think, whenever you do something, when something has happened, think about Allah, because your Creator is in control of everything that happens in your life. And if Allah is pleased with you, then things in your life will be easy. Even when you run into problems, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, with His permission, you will have access to a remedy or a solution. But if you forget Allah in everything that's happening, or you only think about Allah in the quote unquote last minute, then you may run into unprecedented problems. But of course, it's not even just a matter of thinking about the Creator. You also have to think about yourself as creation, and how you interact with the creation, whether it be the creation that has all of its faculties, like other human beings, your parents, your friends, your teachers, people within your community. We're even more aware of the fragility of creation in these times that we live in with the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're even more aware of the rights of the creation in this time where there is political unrest within our country and talking about racial equality, right? But even, between the macro of relationships with the creation within the society, but also the micro relationships within your family and within your friends. We always want, as Muslims, to encourage cognizance. We want to encourage pragmatism. We want to encourage logic. A Muslim, young or old, should be a thinking person, right? Which leads us to the final thing. We always want to be thinking about life itself and its purpose. And these times where especially when we start talking about time management or the investment that is friendship, or service, and why it's an important thing to be a part of in any capacity that you can be, it's because life is short. None of us have any guarantees that we will live to see tomorrow. And it's really harrowing how many stories come up, with COVID ravaging this family, or COVID ravaging this community, or not even just COVID, but I mean, that's not the only thing that can, shorten your life or lead you to meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala earlier than you, quote unquote, expect, right? So we always want to be thinking about life and its purpose, because life is fragile. It will inevitably end, and we will understand in the absolute end, when we stand before Allah, when the soul leaves the body. If we had any doubt in the dunya, we will not have any doubts in the akhirah. So no matter what the topic is, if you don't take anything else from this talk, please take the encouragement to reflect on these three things: the Creator, the creation, life and its purpose. Now, time management is it's an interesting concept. If you're not taking notes, I encourage you to do so. Pull out your smartphone and do something smart with it, like taking notes. Open up a tab on your laptop and take notes with it. For those of you using Windows, open OneNote. If you're using MacBook, I'm sure they might have something that you can use, inshallah. Or get a pen and paper. I'm a little bit more old school, so I like the pen and paper, right? Something a little more analog, but I encourage you to take notes. Again, going from the macro to the micro, this is the best way to understand time management, right? Your life in and of itself is what could be referred to as a parenthesis in eternity. There's the beginning of time and there's the end of time. There's your lifetime and everything in between. And our lives are nothing but a hiccup in the grand scheme of time itself. But we as human beings, it's very interesting because we're made of days. We're made of days, right? Regardless of the cultural implication or the fickle rulings behind it, because we're made of days, people, they often celebrate or at least acknowledge the day that they were born, because you know that there's only going to be so many of those moments in your life where you will reach another birthday or, even whenever we lose life as Muslims, the concept around the janazah and everything that goes into it. It's a visual testament to the community that all of us are just made of days. And when a day passes away, we pass away with it. This is the famous quote of Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, "O child of Adam, you are nothing but days. You are made of days. You're just time." So when a day passes away, when time passes by, you are literally passing away with it. So because of that, time is the most valuable resource, right? Between time and health, these are two invaluable things, right? What's the saying? You can take time, you can use a second to you can use a second to make money, but you cannot use money to buy time, right? So you can use your time making money, but the money that you make will not buy you more time, right? So for each and every single one of us as people, and I encourage you to do this right now for those of you who are taking notes, and I'll ask you a question as you maybe take a few minutes as I explain this. Whether you're young or whether you're old, especially with the COVID situation, some of you haven't been in school, not even just the fact that it's summer break, but you haven't been in school since like March, right? Take a moment and create a pie chart of what your day looks like, right? Take a pie chart and make, for some of you, you feel like school, even being out of school in the summer, the only thing you think about in the summer is going back to school, right? So if you want, you can make a schedule that encompasses being in school. Or you can make a schedule that encompasses your summer routine. For those of you who are older, include your work, right? For those of you who are in between, maybe you do some homeschooling, maybe you take classes online, take all of that, put it in a pie chart. So put your school, put your work, right? Maybe if you want, you can use a weekday, or if you want, you can use a weekend. Whatever it is on how you make up your time, I want you to also include the time that you sleep, okay? For this pie chart, you don't have to put from X time to this time. I just want you to put how much time you put into it. Maybe you go to school for 6 hours. But between transit, getting there, and getting back home, maybe it's like closer to 8. Same for your work day. If you work a 9 to 5, but you have to leave the house by 8:25 in order to get there by 9:05, right? Depending on the traffic. So, and maybe it takes another 30 minutes to get back because you're coming home during rush hour time, right? So include that in your pie chart. How much time in your day do you spend at work? Do you spend at school? Now, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, Amazon Prime. What's the other madhab in the madhab of streaming? We have Netflix, we have Hulu. I mean, I don't know who uses YouTube TV, but I know a lot of people use YouTube for TV, right? So include your leisure time, right? Include your leisure time where you're just streaming anything from the internet. How much time do you spend with that? Social media. How much time do you spend on social media? Not just on your laptop, but on your phone in general. There are some apps on your phone, or you can even open up like the settings in your phone to see how much time you actually spend on certain apps. It may scare you, right? You can even open up in YouTube to see how much time you spend on YouTube, which may scare you even more. Put that in your day, right? It'll tell you how much your average time in your day is spent on that. How much time do you spend eating? You may think that it's a little bit of time, but it may take a lot more time. For those of you who eat out a lot, factor in your transit. Maybe you spend like upwards of 2.5 hours, 3 hours every single day in the pursuit of food. How much time do you spend getting ready for your day? Between brushing your teeth in the morning, taking a shower, ironing your clothes. You know, depending on your family, they may say, well, yeah, you know, you take at least 45 minutes to get ready. It doesn't make any sense, but you do. Put all of that in your day. Who can tell me what you spend the most time doing in a day? What makes up the majority of your pie chart? Now, I have an idea of what the kids may say. Sleep. Sleep. Okay, I'm not going to say who you are, since this may end up on YouTube. How much time do you spend sleeping? Work. Okay, how much time is work? 8 hours sleeping? That's not bad. Some people manage to get a lot more sleep in a day and then that. I won't say if it's a brother or a sister, but one of them mentioned they do like 15 hours of sleep a day. It means they have like 9 waking hours in their day. So our brother who sent work, how much time do you spend working? $40 hours a week, okay. So what's that break down to? Like 8 hours every 5 days? Maybe you do 6 days a week. Someone be honest with me. How much time do you spend on YouTube or on any streaming service in a day? Average time. You can be honest. I didn't mention video games because I don't want anyone to shame themselves. I did not mention video games. I know some parents are waiting in the wings for the fatwa. How much time on social media? I'm not gonna say how much time that is, but it's very easy to just spend a lot of time on social media, right? To just be swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping, especially you know, in the age of TikToks. You know, you might watch how many TikToks in a day? It's only a few seconds long, right? And you amass 2 hours worth of TikToks. A'udhu billah. You see, whenever it comes to time management, one thing is really, really clear, and it's actually beautiful. Allah gave every single human being 24 hours in a day. Every single person 24 hours in a day. If it wasn't enough time, then Allah would have given you 25. Allah would have given you 26. But 24 hours in a day is sufficient for every single person. But even though Allah gave us 24 hours in a day, Allah does not command us to spend all day worshiping Him. Allah, Jalla Jalal, Al-Alim, Al-Alim, is not impractical and is not oppressive to His slaves. So Allah does not ask you to spend half your time or even a quarter of your time worshiping Him. In fact, whenever we think about time itself and how we benefit from it the most, one thing is for sure, there's 2 things that you have to make sure become fundamental features of your day. And that's that you prioritize and not procrastinate. And it's that you prepare and not under-prepare. Proper prioritization precedes procrastination, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you were looking for your daily dose of alliteration, mashallah, tabarakallah, you got it in a nutshell right there. As we mentioned, the quote of Hassan al-Basri, "Oh child of Adam, you are nothing but days. When a day passes away, you pass away with it." And the well-known hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, "Akthiru dhikra hadmul ladhat," which is think about often, abundantly, the cleaver of pleasures, which is death. Whenever if you knew that at the end of the day, today, Malik al-Maut is going to come for me. The angel of death is going to come for me, and I'm going to go back to my Lord. On the other side of the grave is only forever, right? So it's your last day on earth. What will you spend that time doing? Some of you may think, I'll spend that time having as much fun in the dunya as possible. Don't you know there's even more fun in the akhirah than that? Some of you may think, I'm going to go ahead and make some tawbah. I'm going to clean up what's between me and my parents, my relationships, my spouse, with my children. I'm going to make sure that I clean that up. I'm gonna spend this time trying to get my debts and stuff taken care of. Everybody has different priorities. But the same way that you would prioritize the most important thing, which is not really your pleasure, because when you die, the pleasure comes to an end, and a new type of world opens up to you, right? The hereafter. It becomes incumbent upon you as a person to not procrastinate. Not procrastinate things that are top priority. Stuff that you can do now, do not have the mentality of, why do today what I can do tomorrow? Why do right now what I can do later? Rather, you always try to make a full emphasis on getting stuff done. Especially for people who struggle in school, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Sometimes you'll get an assignment, you'll get an essay, you'll get a project that's put in front of you at the beginning of the semester. A week before the assignment is due is not the time to start to look it up. The first week that it gets put in front of you is the time to do it. Imagine if you took all of the energy that has to go into dealing with procrastinating and just put it in the first moment that you know that something has to get done. Then you'll be big chilling. You don't have to worry about all the extra stuff. Sometimes we think, that the time in our lives is different than the time in the Prophet ﷺ. And we're going to take a moment to actually look at a day in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the first key to time management is you have to have an effective schedule. There's the 7 effective habits. There's lists that talk about the lists and infographics of what billionaires do in a day. One thing that you see between rich, wealthy, and successful people in the dunya in the modern era is all of them are very, very serious about their schedule. They're very serious about the schedule. Does it mean that they don't have time for leisure? No. But when they have a schedule, they stick to it. It's one of the most important things. So since for most people, sleep makes up most of their time, make sure that you have a decent circadian rhythm. Rectify your circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is, the processes within your body that allows for you to sleep at a certain time. Ideally, a person should sleep at night. So if you're staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're sleeping in until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you may need to rectify your circadian rhythm. One of the beautiful things about the salawats and how they're spaced out is Allah does not take all 5 prayers and put it in 1 hour during the day. Allah does not take all 5 prayers and cram them during the hours of daylight, and Allah does not take all 5 prayers and cram them during the hours of nighttime. Rather, the biggest window between any 2 prayers is the time between Isha and Fajr. And if the priority in our day is to make sure that we're praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you know that you should be sleeping between the time of Isha and Fajr. In fact, time management is built into the 5 daily salawat, right? So take care of your circadian rhythm. I remember for a class that we were doing at IAR, the Beyond Hifz class, I asked the students, this was probably like in the fall semester, I asked them like, what is your schedule like last fall? And man, some of the brothers and sisters, they're saying that they're staying up until like 1 o'clock in the morning doing homework. And then they have to wake up at 6:30 in the morning to get ready for school. So staying up that late, praying Fajr right when sunrise comes in, getting on the school bus, getting in the car, rushing to school. It's like when everything becomes so jammed because sleep is the most important thing in your schedule. If you're not well rested, then you're not going to function properly, right? Then the rest of your day gets completely jammed. But one of the most important things about scheduling is that you set realistic and achievable goals. Don't create a schedule of things that you know you're not going to be able to do. I'm going to work out every day at 5:30 in the morning. Habibi, you don't even get up at 5:30 in the morning in Ramadan to eat sahur, and you know the effects of not eating sahur. If anyone put priority on waking up in the morning at any time of the year, it's to get up in Ramadan to eat sahur, right? So if you're not even doing it for sahur, I doubt you're going to do it to get up and wake to work out. Set a realistic time and a realistic goal. I'm going to put aside an hour to read. You pick up a book and you try to read it and you start to get sleepy after 10 minutes, then maybe you shouldn't designate an hour. Maybe you should designate 10 minutes, right? And then you can alter, you can change, you can adjust your schedule with time. But one of the primary reasons that people get discouraged when it comes to time management and using a schedule is the minute that they do not achieve the goals within their schedule is they feel defeated and they give up and they go back to having an unregulated, free and restricted, I'll get to it when I can. No, have a hard schedule set. Screen time and sitting in front of a computer all day is not good for you. So put a cap on that. Maybe the first step to your schedule is to put a limit on what you have in your schedule, right? not to add things and not to add structure to it, but rather to take away from the excess that is within it. So prioritize infinitely when it comes to these things. You got to put yourself as your number one priority. Obviously, exercise and all these things are really, really important. I mean, take some time in your schedule to clean your room, to have a nice clean space, to organize yourself so that you know, you're not living in a clutter and sleeping on your clothes. You know, whenever you try to go from your bedroom door to your bed, you shouldn't have to you know, go Indiana Jones or you know, Drake from Uncharted and have to pull some maneuvers just to get into your bed because you got so many clothes and stuff on the floor. Take some time to clean that up. Whenever you go into your room and you have a clean space, it makes you feel better about being in your room. And of course, we live in the age of sedentary work where everybody is sitting all the time. So make sure that you take some time to at least move around and do something. You know, so many physical issues that are coming up, from the high blood pressure to, you know, arthritis in the hips and the back and all this stuff, from sitting and sitting and sitting all day. Human beings were not designed to sit for hours on end. Stand up, walk around, move, you know. But at the end of the day, one of the top priorities that you should put in your schedule, even if it doesn't make up half or a quarter or a tenth of your time, is you need to make something for the akhirah. Something between you and Allah that you're investing in the akhirah with your days, right? Because every time a day passes away, you pass away with it. So why would you let a day pass away without investing in the akhirah? One of the best investments in the akhirah is your family. Take some time to just sit with mama. Take some time just to sit with Baba. You know, if Baba wants to kick some politics about Imran Khan and how Pakistan isn't shutting down, or, you know, some stuff that's happening back home or whatever, just go ahead and let Baba talk about what he wants to talk about. If Umi wants to sit down and watch himself, and I'm appealing to a certain demographic right now, but that's just for the sake of time. If we have more time, we appeal to more demographics. But if Umi wants to sit and, you know, maybe watch an episode of Hum Suffer with you, then go ahead. Go ahead, it's fine. You know, if your brothers and sisters, or maybe just the brothers, Allahu A'lam, if they want to sit and watch Ertugrul, then go ahead and entertain them for an episode, you know. If your little sibling wants to play in toys or watch a cartoon, just go ahead and entertain them, you know. Putting that time in with your family is sadaqah. It's sadaqah. So go ahead and do it for the sake of Allah, for the hereafter. And you got to take care of your spirit. If you're not taking care of your own soul, then everything else will fall apart. Your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, all of these things will fall apart. So take some time between you and Allah to read a book. Our sister asked, how does it count as akhirah investment? It counts as an akhirah investment because the time that you spend with family for the sake of Allah is sadaqah. It's sadaqah that you don't have to spend any money on. If we know that smiling, greeting someone with a smile is sadaqah. You know, oftentimes your parents, the reason why they get so upset at you is because you're either in your room on your phone, or you're at the kitchen table on your phone, or you're in the living room on your phone, or you're on your computer, or you're there, but you're completely disconnected with them. For the sake of Allah, turn it off. Just leave it in your room. Just go sit downstairs, and as hard as it may be, because as kids, one of the hardest things it is for a kid to do is to sit with their parents. Parents, they don't understand it because they saw you, they spent time with you when you could not even, couldn't even take care of yourself. So it baffles them. But for a kid, they're just like, oh, everything inside of them, it just makes them grit their teeth, and it's so hard. 30 minutes of your life to go sit with Baba. No phone. 30 minutes to just let mama just go on the biggest rant she wants to, even if she's saying, you don't do this, and you don't clean, and I wish that you would, and Okay. It's just sadaqah, because you're taking the time out of your day just to sit with your parents. This is an investment in the akhirah. Just that little bit of time, as a Prophet ﷺ, and just to give you like some more hadith on this matter, the Prophet ﷺ said, do you want to have a long life? Do you want to have success? Do you want to be wealthy? Here's the key to it. Take care of what's between you and your parents. That's the key to it. Just 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And subhanAllah, that time that you put in with your parents, that little bit of time that you put in with your parents, or that little bit of time that you put in with your wife, a little bit of extra time where you're not just sitting on your phone, a little bit of extra time that you put in with your husband, or with your kids, or with your parents, that little bit of extra time that you put forward, will take away the edge that causes sometimes for them to just snap and black out on you and to get angry. Okay, so I don't want to dwell too much on that for the sake of time. Best, I want you all to look at a day in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This companion, Sakhr, radiallahu anh, he was actually an extremely successful and wealthy businessman. And the way that he became rich is he heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam make dua, oh Allah, bless my ummah in the early morning. Bless my ummah in the early morning. We have another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah has put barakah in the mornings for my ummah, right? So Sakhar, he heard this and he said, you know what? All right, then I'm gonna build my whole way of life around making sure that I utilize the time in the early morning. And he became rich off of that. Aisha radiallahu anha, she was asked, how's the Prophet ﷺ at home? When he's in the house, this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Is he being served by his wife? Is he being served by his kids? No. She said he is serving his family. When the time for prayer came, he would get up and he would go pray. But anytime he's in the house with the family, she said that he would always be in service to the family, right? Her sister asked, is the barakah time like right after Fajr, or is it also at 9 a.m., 10 a.m.? So this is essentially the time from Salatul Fajr until Dhuhr, the waqt of Duha, the period of time in the early morning hours. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now, so don't lose out on that day by sleeping it away, right? Even, you know, if you have to like factor in sleep, and I don't get enough sleep and I'm always tired, especially for those of you who have time in the summer, and those of you who are working from home and kind of have some control over your own schedule, take a nap during the day. Qaylula is a forgotten sunnah. Now back then, in the lifetime Prophet ﷺ, not even just back then, but even if any of you knows people in the Middle East who live in that desert area, because of how hot it gets during the day, the level of activity, it varies around that period of the day between Dhuhr and Asr. But they used to take naps during the midday, but it's also not just a cultural thing, but the Prophet ﷺ said it's a spiritual thing too. He said, Shaitan does not take a nap at midday, so that's why you should take a nap at midday. And the Prophet ﷺ, throughout his day, look, there's not a busier human being on the face of the planet. This is a really good question from our brother. He said, how long should a midday nap be? A midday nap is not like falling asleep at night. Some people take a midday nap for 4 hours. No, that's not a midday nap. Especially if your naps is making you miss Dhuhr and running you into Asr and taking you from Asr up until Maghrib. Like, no. Midday nap, anywhere from 15, 45 minutes. Don't go past an hour. Ideally, maybe you take 30 to 40 minutes to yourself, just knock back, you know. But yeah, don't kill yourself with it. And also, if taking a nap during the day makes it hard for you to go to sleep at night, then don't take a nap during the day. Go to sleep early at night so that you can get up in the morning and utilize the barakah of the morning. Remember, this deen is practical. Do not take everything in Islam and filter it through one hadith. Well, if the barakah is in the morning, then I should go to sleep during the midday, but that will make me sleep at night. So how should I get up in the morning? No, put it all together. Don't just take one and filter all through it. Put it all together. If this works, then roll with it. If that doesn't, then pick this up. So the Prophet ﷺ is not a busier human being on the face of the planet than him. He would check on the sick. He would take care of the poor. He would meet with delegations from different tribes and different nations. He would meet with the leaders of the community. He would advise the Muslims. He would go give da'wah to non-Muslims. He would manage various expeditions of the ummah. And on top of that, he's praying all of his sunnah prayers, praying all of his nawafil. He's praying tahajjud at night. He's fasting so much that people didn't know when he was going to stop fasting. He's doing all of this. So if the Prophet ﷺ could do all of this, be in service to his family, taking care of the ummah, so on and so forth, with his day, and he had 24 hours, then you can do it too. Okay? You can manage your time too. The reason why the examples of the prophets are so extreme is so that we can manage in our less extreme situations. Not to look at it and say, oh, well, I'm not a prophet. Well, no, you're not. That's why you don't have to do as much as he did, but you can do a little bit with what you have. Okay? Now, let's just talk about Friends. You know, Friends is not just a show that I don't know why it became insanely popular in modern times, but, you know, the definition of a friend, it varies. There's objective definitions of a friend. There's subjective definitions of a friend. There's generic examples of what a friend is like versus the reality of what you see friends are like. And then, of course, there's the friendship according to Islam, which sometimes has like a big question mark. Sometimes we don't really understand what that's supposed to look like. So we have different examples of friendship from all different sources. For example, if you look in Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle, he talks about friendship. He divides it into 3 categories: friendship based on utility, friendship based on what can you do for me and what have you done for me lately, friendship based on vice and virtue. So the first type of friendship is friendship based on utility. Meaning, if the friend does not have utility, then they're not going to be your friend. I have a friend when I move. When I'm not moving, you're not my friend, right? I have a friend when I'm in school, when I need help with this bio class. When I don't need the help, then that's not it. We have our aid friends. When it's time to come over and eat your food, then mashallah, you are my friend. But when the utility of eating is gone, then our friendship is gone with it. But he also described the friendship of vice, meaning as long as we like the same things, then we will be friends. The minute we don't like the same things, we're not friends. It's often the reason why friends that you have in elementary school, your best friend in elementary school is normally not your best friend in middle school, not your best friend in high school, not your best friend in college, not your best friend when you graduate, not your best friend when you get married. Because your vices change. The things that you use for entertainment, the stuff that you like in your life, it changes. And sometimes your friendship is literally built on where you get along and what you like at the same time. And when those things change, that doesn't change. Sometimes you have friends that are really firm upon learning Islam and practicing the religion. When you are in that mindset, then you're friends with them. But whenever your mind is on other things, not so much focused on religiosity, I'm just chilling, I'm not trying to do all that, that's too much for me, then you get around friends who are like that. This is a testament to friendship based on vice. So when the vice changes, the friendship changes as well. But even Aristotle said that the best type of virtue is virtue, the best type of friendship is friendship based on virtue. Friendship based on virtue, meaning even if you don't always agree and you don't always get along and you don't always like each other, the thing that keeps you united is virtue. Now, this is what Aristotle said, and the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the statement of the Prophet, the statement of the ulama is much greater. And we had to bring the example right here. If y'all know who this is, then may Allah bless you. If you don't know who that is, then may Allah bless you. But as you can see, both of them are missing an arm, and they still friends. And anyone who knows why they're missing the arm, you know that their friendship was based on virtue. If you don't get the reference, may Allah bless you. I mean, but if you do, alhamdulillah. Now, so we don't want to get the tap wheel of that image, but yeah, it's just a little analogy. So even Imam al-Ghazali, he said there's 3 characteristics that you should look for in a friend. You need to have friends who are smart. You don't want to be friends with a fool, right? Why would you want to be friends with someone who is known to be stupid? Stupid in terms of the definition of the word, not the loose usage of the word. Stupid meaning someone who acts recklessly or carelessly without regard for consequences. Some people, they act like fools to be funny. But the more hilarious person is a person who is intelligent. A person who has quick wit and a sharp sense of humor is better than someone who has to humiliate themselves in order to get you to laugh. So one of the best characteristics of a friend is someone who's intelligent. And notice how these characteristics are characteristics that we admire in others. Good character. Why would you want to be friends with someone who can't control their anger? They can't control their desires. They can't control their emotions. One minute they're all the way over here, the next minute they're all the way over there. We admire people who have great self-control, great presence, are well-spoken, carry themselves well, know how to speak when the aunties and uncles are in the room, know how to talk whenever the little kids are in the room. It's just an example of good character and intelligence combined, because you cannot have good character without being at least somewhat intelligent, right? So these 2 things, they go hand in hand. So you don't want to be friends with someone who's lying or who's greedy or always in this social media drama, and they said, and now they got kicked out of this WhatsApp group. But who wants to be friends with people like that, right? Unless you like sipping the tea. But the most important thing, of course, is righteousness. You want to be friends with people who are righteous. Why would you want to be friends with someone who is openly displeasing Allah? Yeah, they vape and they smoke weed and they get high and they have a secret bae on the internet and they slide into DMs and talking to all these people from the opposite gender. And yeah, they curse and they show these pictures and they send these stupid memes and they send this stuff in our group chat and so on and so forth. But they're a good person. No, those are all signs that they're not a good person. Does it mean that they will not be a good person forever? No, anyone can change. But it's not your job to change people. It's your job to be the best person that you can be, which means that's how you change people. You will not be able to do that if you have bad friends. Okay? And remember, friendship based on virtue. Your friends may be kind of dry. They may not have the most dynamic adventures, but they're virtuous. That's better than a friend who's, there's so much fun, but you get nothing out of being in their company. And Imam al-Ghazali, he said, these qualities rarely exist together. It's very rare to find it all together. So keep interaction with your friends proportionate to the level of these qualities within them. And, you know, they got some character deficiency stuff. Okay, then, you know, you shouldn't be spending all your time with them. They pray, but they're not like super religious. Okay, then alhamdulillah, don't be super friends with them, you know? Or not the sharpest, you know, they're not the brightest crayon in the box. They're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. They're not the most lit page on the Instagram. I don't know. But your friendship should be relative to the qualities that they have, right? And like I said, sometimes you may meet someone, they may not be the most dynamic human being on the face of the earth, but they're virtuous, they're intelligent, they have good character, they're righteous. That in and of itself is meritorious enough to make them your friends. And then of course we have in Tazkiyat an-Nafs, we have the description of friendship. Some friends are like gold. Would you ever want to be broke? Like if you had the option to walk around with money on you all the time, everywhere you go, you could buy whatever you want, you never had to think about it. Would you rather be able to walk around with your MasterCard and your Visa and your bank account is maxed out and you do whatever you want? Or would you rather walk around with debt and not be able to buy anything and have to ask someone to spot you? Of course, you'd rather walk around with money. Some friends are like money. You want to keep money on you, right? You don't want to be broke. So sometimes you go out of your way to be with people like that. Look at the type of jobs people take in order to make money. What type of friends are you willing to be around as long as they enrich you? Right? Some friends are like gold. You go out of your way just to be around them, and you feel sad when you're not around them, and you do whatever you can to make time to be with them. Some people are like food. You know, you gotta. Some food is better than others. You know, the king of all foods is biryani. The king of all foods is biryani. And you know, there's some ikhtilaf on whether nihari is better than halim, and you know, there's some madhahib issues when it comes to butter chicken versus chicken tikka. You know, there's some matters like this, and some masail. There's some some controversial issues to discuss. Biryani for the win, mashallah. Say biryani for the win. Khalas. We don't even talk about the other madhahib. It's only biryani, right? But you know, some food is better than others, but you still gotta eat. You know, might have to force yourself to eat vegetables. I did mention all day seafood, but you know, that's just for the sake of time. We don't want to tip our hand too much, you know, and start talking about eating bananas with rice. Shout out to my Somali brothers and sisters. Mashallah, yeah, desi food, mashallah. Anyways, so you know, some people are like food, you know. Sometimes you go to a spot, they give you good portions. Sometimes they give you jasmine portions, you know. But you still gotta eat, right? But can you eat all day? No. If you eat all day, you're gonna get sick. If you eat all day, you're gonna, you know, we don't want to say get fat, but you're not gonna stay slim and fit, right? So some friends you treat like food. When it's time to eat, you eat, but you never overeat. But you don't starve yourself either. You find a good balance of when you pick your spots. Some friends are like medicine. When you're sick, you need medicine. You would never ever deprive yourself of medicine if you were in need of it. So some friends are like medicine, but if you take medicine when you're not sick, it will make you sick and it can harm you. So sometimes we think that food friends are medicine friends and medicine friends are food friends, but it's from, remember, the intelligence and the cognizance and the pragmatism, the logic and understanding and thought process of a Muslim to know which friend is which. And you should analyze people. You should know, hey, that's my gold friend, that's my medicine friend. And some friends are like poison. The difference between poison and venom is poison is something that you ingest, right? And venom is something that's injected into you. So that means poison is something that is willfully consumed. You know this person is not good, but you take them anyways. You know that when you're with them, like you don't normally curse, but when you hang out with this person, you curse. You don't normally listen to this, you don't normally watch that, you don't normally act this way, but when you're with that person, you act like it. It's willful ingestion of poison. Why would you ever poison yourself or harm yourself? When you notice that you get around some people and you change for the worse, know that that's a poison friend. You guys don't willfully ingest that. And then some friends are like death. Just being in their company, it kills the soul. It completely severs your connection with Allah. It cuts off all of your moral values. There's no reason in being with it. You know that when you get around some people, you have to literally take all of your intelligence, all of your good character, all of your righteousness, all of your virtue, you have to put it in a corner. It has to die in order for you to be with some people and connect with them and have a good time with them. Never ever take a death friend, because this can be the death of your relationship with Allah, and there's no greater friendship than for a person to establish than your relationship with Allah. Waliyul Mu'mineen, it's the friend of the believers, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is a really long slide, and for the sake of time, I think I will stop here. Inshallah ta'ala, next week, same time, we're going to continue the discussion on friendship, and then we're going to talk about service. Service, so important. So make sure that you tune in for that. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ba'd. First off, thank you once again for coming back and joining us for the Big Three as we discuss time management, friendship, and service in the Deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, we are continuing the characteristics of friendship according to Islam. Now, sometimes we have these very corny definitions or explanations, that we put forward that Islam says what a friend should be like, right? But from the Quran to the Sunnah to the example of Sahaba, it's very, very clear what type of friends you should have. And know that Islam does not exist to micromanage your life, but rather to give your life management in even the most microscopic ways, right? So that you can be in control of everything that you have going on in your life. Islam is not there for you to, oh, well, when you raise your hand, make sure that the pinky is slightly bent. No, it's not micromanaging you, but rather it's to give you control of how you manage every form of interaction, every form of pursuit that you have in your life, even in the most microscopic ways, the macroscopic to the microscopic ways. We have extreme dynamics within the companions of the Prophet ﷺ of different types of friendships. From the example of Salman al-Farsi and Abu Darda, of best friends. Two, people who were not necessarily friends, but they were companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They were Sahaba to the Prophet ﷺ, but it didn't mean that everybody was friends. And we are like super close, tight friends, right? These are people who came together for the sake of Allah. Allah had united their hearts upon Islam. So we have dynamic levels of interaction between what quantifies why someone should be your friend in the first place. Last week we mentioned Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. Obviously, what we have in the Quran and the Sunnah is far superior to the statements of anyone else. But he mentioned the best type of friend you can have is a friend based on virtue. But virtue is not defined by Aristotle or any other philosopher or human being, but rather virtue is defined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, verse 28, Allah clearly gives us three characteristics that all of us should look for when it comes to a friend. The first is that you should first things first. When it comes to good friendship, the first attribute of it is patience. First attribute of good friendship is patience. Because any relationship worth having is going to have ups and downs. Any relationship worth having is going to have ups and downs. Even within your own family, between you and your siblings, you have ups and downs. So when it comes to being with people who are firm upon the Deen of Allah, it may not necessarily be interpersonal issues, because anyone who is exhibiting the characteristics of a gold friend or an intellectual friend who is righteous and has good character, inshallah, you're not going to be going through some drama that's going to end up on T-Spill or one of those YouTube drama channels. No, rather, you're going to have to be patient with your own desires and staying with people who exemplify these characteristics of virtue. So the first of those attributes is that they call upon Allah. One of the questions I get asked often by youth, from a fiqh perspective, halal, haram, aside from music and interpersonal relationships between genders and all this other stuff, which inshallah we can cover in other classes, but about being friends with non-Muslims. Can I be friends with non-Muslims? Well, technically you can do anything, but what is better for you is normally the question that anyone with sound mind should ask. Sometimes people, they have these bad experiences with Muslims. My non-Muslim friend is way better than all the Muslims I know. Okay, let's take it easy. The non-Muslim friend may be, someone that you get along with compared to the Muslims. The ideal friend for you is somebody
That now think about what you mean, or when we say friendship, what does that entail? So somebody that you spend your time with. So someone who essentially mirrors your habits and or you are mirroring theirs. Whatever tendencies and stuff they incarnate, think about the inside jokes that you have with a friend. Think about the things that you say to your friend that you wouldn't say to anybody else. One of the key features that you should look for in any friend is that they call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Call upon Allah. Now, sharing the same moral values, like I was talking with the family who the daughter is really friends with a Mormon girl because they're very strict. They don't, even though their cultures are apart, from Caucasian American Mormon family to Desi culture, like a lot of the moral ethics they line up because of how Mormons carry themselves and how their lifestyle and stuff is. At the end of the day, having the same moral outlook is not the same as having the same spiritual outlook for investment in this life and the next. So you always want to try to be patient. Keep in mind, you might run into some people or they're not as cool or they're not as this or that. Get over the petty stuff. The friends that you make in this life will be your friends in the hereafter, for the better or for worse. So try to make a fundamental precept of the friends that you find, somebody who calls upon Allah. Now, I'm going to put some more context on this as we continue. But the second is in the morning and the evening. Lots of different explanations to be derived from this, but one of them is that they pray. Okay? It's not sufficient that they call upon Allah, but it's also that they pray. They're praying consistently in the morning and the evening. It's not somebody who, I'm only Muslim on Jumu'ah, I'm only praying whenever I go to Salatul Jumu'ah, I'm only praying on Eid, I only practice Islam in Ramadan. No. It's a day, it's a way of life for them, from A to Z. All right? And they're always seeking Allah Jalla Jalal's face. They're seeking His pleasure in this life, and they're seeking the greatest pleasure of all in the hereafter, which is to be in His eternal pleasure and to see Allah Jalla Jalal in Jannah. This is the ultimate goal for everyone. Don't let your eyes go beyond such people. Maybe you now this doesn't mean that that your best friend should be a robot who's Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah. That's not what we're talking about. People can practice the deen and still be human and have fun. Sometimes we make a distinction between practicing Islam and everything else in life. No. The perfect friend is somebody who practices Islam and lives their life. But that doesn't mean that they're compromising Allah's pleasure. They're compromising what Allah had ordained upon them in order to have fun. Because what type of friend is that? It sounds kind of poisonous. Sounds a little toxic, right? Especially when it comes to spirituality. Now Allah is telling us three things to avoid when it comes to friendship. First is that the only thing that they're seeking is the things in this dunya, the beautified things of this world. If you got a friend who all they do is talk about the opposite gender, or in 2020, even the same gender, or you got a friend who's always cursing, talking about vulgar things and, thinking with their desires and every single thing, that might not be a good friend. Or the one who does not obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, you can have a Muslim friend, yeah, they're Muslim, but they don't think about Allah. They don't obey Allah. You got friends who are vaping, you got friends who are sliding in the DMs, you got friends who are doing all these types of things. This is not what a healthy friendship looks like. Because as the Prophet ﷺ informed us, Hadith and Sunan at-Tirmidhi, believers are mirrors to each other. Now, if a person that you are around is mirroring fisk, they're mirroring rebellion to Allah, they're mirroring fasad, they're mirroring fuhsh, all of these characteristics that are deplorable, then you're going to inevitably end up mirroring them too. Especially if they're not someone who's even thinking about Allah, not even remembering Allah, not even a little bit, and who follows their desires. And because of this, their affair is in neglect. Now, beautiful context to be added to this. Again, doesn't mean that your friend has to be a robot. That the only thing, your friend doesn't have to be haram police, right? But it should be someone who's practicing Islam. It should be someone who is not so consumed with the things that are in front of them by way of schoolwork, by way of career pursuits and stuff, that they're completely not even thinking about the hereafter at all. It doesn't mean that your friend has to be somebody who gives you a halaqah every time you all get together. That's not the same. In fact, we see in the example of Ibn Abbas and also Ibn Mas'ud, Hadith and Sahihain and other narrations, and the two authentic Bukhari and Muslim and other narrations, that even the companions didn't like to give halaqat all the time. And if you see the example of the Prophet ﷺ, keep in mind, They were called his Sahaba. That means that they're his companions. That means that they're his friends. These are people who went where he went and saw him, alayhi salatu wasalam, in many different situations. It's very, very clear the Prophet ﷺ did not give halaqat to his companions 24/7. In fact, he did not even like to give them a lot of halaqat all the time and talk about Islam all the time. Rather, he conveyed Islam through his suhbah to them, through his companionship to them. They were able to understand it by seeing his application of it in day-to-day life, right? And we know the well-known narration of 3 people who asked the wives of the Prophet ﷺ about how he was. And from what they heard about him, you know, they came to these different conclusions without making it too long because we still have quite a bit to cover. But he said, look, I fast. I break my fast. I sleep. I'm married. I'm human. I do these things, right? And so you don't have to go to extremes when it comes to the practice of Islam, and you shouldn't seek out people who are doing that either. Rather, balance people. Look at the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, people are like gold and silver. Those who were the best in Jahiliyyah will be the best in Islam if they have righteous understanding of, if they have religious understanding of the deen. And look at what he says about souls. He says the souls are like recruited soldiers. They get mixed up with those similar with them in qualities and oppose and drift away from those who do not share those qualities. What does that mean? It means that many people who are the same, they naturally gravitate to each other. And that's okay. Your true friends will be those who follow you when they see that you're upon the truth. It's the characteristic of a true friend. The way that I came to Islam is I had an atheist friend who ended up taking the Shahada. He came and talked to me about Islam. We were best friends for like 6 years. He came back, he talked to me about Islam. I saw that he was upon the truth and I followed him in it, you know. And the way that he found out about Islam was a mutual friend that we had. They were friends for like 6, 7, 8 years. And he heard about Islam from me. See, you follow people upon the truth. Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, when he heard the Prophet ﷺ tell the truth, he followed him because he was upon the truth. Khadija radiallahu anha, the first Muslim. And by the way, next week, we're going to start talking about the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. It's the first Muslim. First Muslim was Muslimah. Radiallahu anha, when she heard the Prophet ﷺ say it, khalas, she followed him. I followed him in it. So sometimes whenever you have like characteristics, you come together, but that doesn't mean that you have to be friends with everyone. Okay. Sometimes, especially with this, you know, Insta, Twitter, Faceverse, universe, multiverse, or whatever it is, people feel like they got to like, subscribe, and follow to everything that anyone is putting out. Not necessarily true. Find people who have those righteous characteristics and stick to them. It's okay to have your own circle, but that does not mean that you create a clique that outcasts and pushes away others. And this is made even more clear in the verse of Surah Al-Furqan, chapter 25, verse number 20, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet ﷺ, and what can be understood in English as, we did not send before you any messengers except that they ate food and walked in the markets. Meaning, we never sent a messenger, we never sent anyone to a group of people except that they were human beings. They were human beings. And we have made some of you as trial for others, meaning some people are literally the khalq of some people. The very nature of some people is actually a fitna for you. Trying to, you know, some people, they just get under your skin. Some people, they just irritate you. They rub you the wrong way. No matter how hard you try, you just can't get along with them. But Allah is asking the Prophet ﷺ a question that we should ask each and every single one of us, even with the people that you can't get along with, even with the people that you struggle to understand. Will you be patient? Not go out of your way to put them down, not go out of your way to shame them, not go out of your way to cancel them, not go out of your way to isolate them, not go out of your way to talk bad about them. Just be patient for those who are not your friends. And there's so many different examples in Islam on the importance of friends, right? We have this verse in Surah Taha, chapter 20, verse 44. In Tafsir al-Baghawi, where Yahya ibn Mu'ad, he mentioned that this ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam to speak to Fir'aun in a way that is laid. Speak to him in a way that is gentle. You know, this characteristic is, even if Musa is being sent to Fir'aun, one of the worst human beings, if not arguably like he's top tier, horrible human being. Musa, talk to him in a way that's gentle. Then how should you talk to people that you don't get along with? And you all know about Fir'aun and Musa. Pharaoh and Moses, you know, they went at it. But still, Musa was commanded to speak to him in a way that was gentle, easygoing, delicate, soft. So even with the people that we don't necessarily get along with doesn't mean that we have to speak to them with pure venom. In fact, one of the characteristics of regardless of your friendship is being kind to people. As the Prophet ﷺ is telling Aisha radiallahu anha, hadith is a Muslim. Oh, Aisha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gentle and He loves gentleness. He rewards gentleness, what is not granted for harshness. Meaning, Allah will reward you for being gentle in situations in a way that you will never be rewarded for being harsh in some situations. And He does not reward anything else like it. Meaning, the person who is gentle is rewarded in a way that people who act in other circumstances, they're just not. And think about this as a characteristic of a person, regardless of, it's easy to make friends if you're a gentle, easygoing person. Very difficult to make friends if you're a very crass, very rude, very harsh, a very critical person. Regardless, being gentle is a characteristic that will benefit you with your friends and will benefit you with your enemies, benefit you with people that you simply cannot get along with. As long as you're gentle, a person who's gentle can never be faulted. The Prophet ﷺ also said, hadith and Tirmidhi narrated by Ibn Amr, the merciful will be shown mercy by the most merciful. So meaning, if you're merciful to people, whether you like them or not, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ar-Rahman, will be merciful to you. So the Prophet ﷺ, he commanded us, be merciful to those on the earth, and the one in the heavens will have mercy on you. Sometimes we find difficulty in so many different things in our life, and the simple solution to it is just be merciful. Yeah, your sibling, they may drive you crazy. They make you absolutely. They manage to do something. They look at you and you're just like, it just completely drives you nuts. But be merciful to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show mercy to you. As we know, when it comes to our parents, because of the closeness that we have to our parents, the fact that we're from them, there's probably no one under the sun that manages to really rile you up in the same way that parents do. It's because of the closeness of family. The closer you are to someone, the closer they are to your feelings, the easier it is for them to make you happy, the easier it is for them to make you angry, the easier it is for them to make you sad. Even though sometimes we find this to be the case, look, be merciful. That difficult thing that you have going on, those AP exams that inevitably come up, and those college applications that inevitably come up, and all the things in your life that inevitably come, sometimes the solution, the tawfiq, the success, is just waiting for you, as long as you're merciful to those who are close to you, the ones that you like and it's easy for you to get along with, and the ones that it's hard to. And last but not least, we will discuss the hadith of Ibn Umar in Bukhari and Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ said, the Muslim is a brother and a sister to another Muslim. We're brothers and sisters at the end of the day. We do not wrong each other. We don't surrender each other, meaning I'm not going to take my Muslim brother and sister, I'm not going to sacrifice them. I'm not just going to throw them out to the wolves. I'm not going to let anybody just talk about them. We see this in the realm of academics, where sometimes scholars they this refutation culture, the toxic refutation culture, and Muslims just taking other Muslims and just tossing them out to the wilds of the internet to be canceled and stuff. No. The Prophet ﷺ said, at the end of the day, we share kalimatul tawheed, we share that code. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. As long as we share this word with each other, we're brothers and sisters to one another at the end of the day. Regardless of some of our differences, some differences are unacceptable, but most differences are easy to overlook. Most of them are. Regardless of that, I'm not going to wrong you. I'm not going to say bad things about you. I'm not going to surrender you to people that don't like you. I'm going to stand up for you. Whoever fulfills the needs of their Muslim brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill their needs. Some Muslims are so, don't harm them with your tongue. Fulfill their needs. If you are looking at your Muslim brothers and sisters, the hadith and Abi Dawood that we mentioned earlier, where we said the believers are mirrors to one another, when you see something wrong in it, fix it. As opposed to being so critical of your Muslim brothers and sisters, you may not be friends, but at least fulfill their needs. What are you doing to help them not be so bad? What are you doing to advise them? What are you doing to be there for them? Maybe they need a friend like you. Doesn't mean that you lower your standard to be friends with people who have no standards, but maybe they just need a better example in someone like you, who sees Muslims like that. Fulfill their needs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of your needs. Whoever relieves a Muslim from distress, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will relieve them from distress on the day of resurrection. The day of great distress is a day that we're all inevitably going to. You want to have relief on that day? Take care of the needs of your Muslim brothers and sisters, regardless of if you're friends or not. Whoever covers the faults of a Muslim. How often? I remember, subhanAllah, what was that soccer player, Mohamed Salah? So many Muslims try to cancel him on the internet whenever he has some little video or little clips or whatever came out where he was out shaking and moving, even though, for the most part, and I'm not even like a football, not soccer, football fan. I'm not even like a big fan of football. But from what I had heard from the youth, for the most part, he carries himself with integrity. He got caught slipping, being a celebrity, and Muslims are the harshest critics of him on the internet. And the non-Muslims are just sitting back and watching his own people destroy and slaughter him. Cover his faults. Go out of your way to make excuses for him. Make dua for him. And now this is for the celebrity. What about your classmate at high school? Oh, Brother Issa, if you knew what that sister does whenever she gets to school, look, they need help. If they need some counsel, if they, or if they're going through something, then of course tell someone who can help. Tell someone who can help. Don't backbite. But other than that, there's no such thing as a perfect person. People are oftentimes so happy to talk about the faults of others, especially when it comes to their brothers and sisters in Islam, even though it's a fundamental concept, very, very clear in this hadith and many other principles in the Quran and Sunnah. Whoever covers the faults of a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cover their faults on the Day of Judgment. That means you go out of your way to expose people that aren't your friends, then best believe you will be exposed, right? So this concept of friendship is not just some concept of favoritism, where you show people that you like some traits in you. No. As Muslims, even for the people that we're not friends, we treat them with respect and integrity. So how do I friend? This is probably one of the biggest questions that some people have. Like, look, I know I should, like, some of my non-Muslim friends are not the best people. Some of my Muslim friends are not the best people. But I don't know how to really make friends outside of these people that I've been around. Well, first you have to acknowledge the nature of companionship. What is suhbah? What is companionship? Are you talking about your friends online? Friends in your Discord? Friends in some WhatsApp group chat? Where you just share memes and jokes and stuff like that, videos with each other? Are you talking about friends that you like and follow on Twitter and Instagram? Kids even use Facebook. I think the aunties and uncles have taken it over, right? A friend on social media is not the same as a friend in real life. IRL is much different, So you notice the fragility of friendship on social media, where people block and unfollow and, leave unread, leave on read and leave unread. It's different. So if you're looking for friendship in a fragile platform, then best believe the friendship will indeed be fragile. Are you talking about friendship in school? Don't you know that you all are witnesses to this? Your friend in elementary school, once you make it to middle school, that friendship changes. Even just one summer, changing classes is enough to change friendships, right? As you grow older, as you change classes, even the semester come in. Your best friend in fall semester may not be your best friend in spring semester. It changes. Remember, friendship based on utility, friendship based on vice, friendship based on virtue. Most friendships in school are based on utility and vice. How can you help me get through this biology exam? Or how can you help me? We like the same thing. We like the same thing now. So we're friends now. But once I grow out of this little phase of playing Fortnite, then we're not going to be friends anymore. What was it? PUBG. You still playing PUBG? Well, I'm on that Fortnite life now. So so if you're trying to establish meaningful relationships in a platform that is ever shifting, like school, then know that the nature of your friendship will be reflected in that platform. Sometimes we have friends that we see just when we're at the masjid. I know for sure some of the programs that we do in the masjid, in the masajid at Noor Quran Academy, with the Beyond Him program that we were doing, or even with the ICM program, or even back in the day with Saturday halakha, Brother Atif, and all that stuff. Some people, they see each other at high school, they see each other in the hallways, they don't talk to each other at all. But once they make it to the masjid, they talk, right? You always look at the platform of your friendship in order to measure the value of it. And because we have so many different platforms to be friends with, we have friends just on the phone, we have friends just in social media. When I open this app, I see you. When I don't open the app, I don't see you, I don't know who you are. We got different friendships in school semester, fall semester versus spring semester. When I was in 9th grade versus when I was in 11th, they used to be my best friend, but they're not anymore. Or when I see you at the masjid, salam alaikum, outside the masjid, wa alaikum salam. These things, they change. You have to find out what is true, meaningful friendship for you, and then you have to go about finding the best people within whatever platform that is, okay? And know that the healthiest relationships are the ones that exist in real life. We as people are not meant to love and like and live through glass and plastic. Human beings are made of flesh and blood and bones and muscle and tissue. This is not a platform to live through. It's just a tool. It's just a tool. This is not my life, and it shouldn't be yours either. So the best type of friendship you should seek are the ones that exist in real life. Obviously, we got COVID going on. So, maybe Jen is not trying to let you out the crib. Understandable, totally respectable, completely get it. But make sure that you look for, those good friends that you had in real life, connect with them still. But remember, it's a tool. It's a means to an end. It's not the end to all means. All right. And trust the process. Okay. Remember at the beginning of this presentation, we talked about, the creator, the creation, what this all means, whether it's time management, whether it's friendship, or whether it's service. Remember, at the end of the day, it's not even about you. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about Allah. It's about the hereafter. This life is short. What's coming is more important than what is. And everything that we do now is an investment in forever. So trust the process. I remember, because of the ill treatment that I faced, not even just at the beginning of my time as a Muslim, but even it still continues to this day. I don't know what something about being a black revert, you just get the worst of all. May Allah keep you all safe from fitna, Allahumma ameen. But in the community that I started out in, people, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to be able to learn a lot about Islam. I didn't assimilate the akhlaq as quickly as I assimilated the knowledge, but people said all types of crazy stuff about me when I first took my shahada. The only reason why he knows so much about Islam is because he's a spy. I would go into the masjid, people would not give me salam. People said all types of crazy stuff to me. I found myself in all types of wild situations that I never experienced as a non-Muslim. It made me, in a lot of ways, it made me hate a lot of people, made me hate a lot of places, and it built a lot of resentment in my heart. So I remember getting ready to leave a masjid. I was getting ready to leave a masjid. In my heart, wallahi, I just prayed, Lord, I was about to walk out, and I said, wallahi, I'm done with these people. These people, I'm finished with them. Finished with the culture. I'm finished with the backbite. I'm finished with the slander. I'm done with all of this. I was about to leave. But before I got up to leave, I just made dua, oh Allah, please, please give me one good friend. As a non-Muslim, I had so many friends. I was popular, living the life and all this stuff. I became Muslim, and it's just like everybody just wanted to be my enemy. I was sad. I was broken by the whole situation. So I was leaving the masjid with it in my heart to never, ever go back again. Whenever I was walking out, because of how Allah blessed me within my khalq as a person, I seen a brother who's standing there. And it was raining outside. Now, anyone who knows me, you know my favorite weather is rain. So I asked the brother, I was like, are you waiting for a ride? He's like, no. So do you need help or something? He said, nah, it's just raining. I don't feel like walking to my car. I don't feel like walking to my car in the rain. So I just dropped some cheesy little Chinese proverb. I said, some people walk in the rain and other people get wet. He was like, what? And we just started talking. And to this very day, he's still my best friend. So right after the prayer, I made the dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the rain down from the sky just to stop this guy who to this very day is still my best friend. May Allah bless him. Allahumma ameen. And once he became my friend, a lot of my virtues and values and outlook changed for the better, alhamdulillah. And he still continues to increase me in virtue to this very day, even though we differ on who's the best basketball player in the league, and we differ on which football team is the best, even though we both agree that Tom Brady, mashallah, is the GOAT. So it's all about being patient. You got to trust the process. Sometimes it takes trial and error to find a really good friend. Sometimes you may find some points in time where you don't really have someone that you can say is your friend. But being patient and seeking the best type of friend that you can have, it always pays out better than being willing to invest in bad friend after bad friend after bad friend, hoping that eventually it will turn into a good one. So trust the process and be patient when it comes to that. Don't play games with companionship, all right? Just like how you would, would you just work as a trash man or trash woman? Would you just, pick any career? I don't care. As long as I make money, I don't care. You may say yes to be sarcastic and smug, but realistically, you want the best job you can get. You want a job that gives you status, that gives you prestige, that gives you money, that sets you up for the best lifestyle. And for those of you, depending on your age, sets your family up for the best lifestyle. You start thinking like that down the road. Don't play games with friendship. No more than you would play games with other major decisions in your life. I don't care what school I go to. I'm about to go to DeVry. I'm about to go to Phoenix Online University. Who cares? It's just a degree. No, 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 no. You want to go to a good school. You want to get a good degree. You want to do your higher education. You want to get into med school. You want to get into dental school. You want to get certified in different IT, different IT. You can tell I don't know what I'm talking about. So saying all that to say, just like how you think these things out, you think it through. Think your friends through. Seriously, don't play games. Oh, you know, they're pretty. Like seriously, think about it. Think about it. Be careful when it comes to your friendship. Your friends, just like how your spouse will be, just like your children will be, just like your family will be, they'll be your ticket to Jannah or they'll be your ticket to Jahannam. So make sure that you invest in the best ticket. Okay. Now let's talk about khidmah finally. Okay, as we begin to wrap up. A syllogistic approach to learning and teaching. You know, sometimes when I'm making these slides, I see some stuff that I wrote, and I'm just like, man, Allah forgive me. I mean, a syllogistic approach to learning and teaching. What was I going for? Allah forgive me. I mean, anyways, syllogistically, whenever you take a step-by-step analysis, if this, then this, if this, then this, if this, then this, then I want you to think about the cycle of school. For some of you who are young, the cycle of working. So the cycle of school, the cycle of work, the cycle of family. It's a vicious cycle. Not vicious in terms of it being harsh, but you get on that hamster wheel and it's just the same thing. Day in, day out, day in, day out. The days, they begin to fly by. And it becomes very, very easy to not invest in yourself. Especially for those of you, you know, you got your AP classes, even if you're in gen ed, like general education classes. You just keep pouring out that cup into project after project and assignment and paper and college applications. And now I'm in college, and you just keep pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. You got to make sure that you're putting something back in that cup so that you can keep pouring out of it. So every time you do this, you got to be willing to do that. You know, you got to keep doing this and that. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself empty. Some people, you know, not even adding a lot of extracurricular activities to their life. Just between school and home, they begin to question their life. What does it all mean? Between school, home, and video games, school, home, and YouTube, school, home, and Netflix, you just become caught up in this same cycle so much that you're just like, what's the point? What's the point? The thing that will give your life value, the thing that will fill your cup is some type of service to anything. Wallahi, you can clip this, you can take this, you can circulate it in whatever chat you want. I swear by Allah. Meaning to life is given through service. Service to something that is meaningful, significant, and has value. We know sometimes, you know, Islamic studies teachers and hifz teachers and people who work in masajid and imams and stuff, they get worked like horses and they get fed like chicken. You know, youth coordinators, youth directors. These are not people who are in that field. Let's even move outside of the realm of the masjid and the Islamic community, the Muslim community. Teachers, even college professors, even those who are given tenure, they're not in that field to become millionaires, right? They're in that field because it's a service. It's a service that is giving back to someone. Teachers, you know, North Carolina has, I'm pretty sure last time I checked, they were 49th out of 50 in terms of teacher salary. I think the starting salary was like $34,000 or $36,000 a year. Break out the calculator and do the math in a state that has state taxes. Do the math. Now keep in mind, most teachers, you either get paid 10 months out of the year or you get paid 12. But either way, benefits, go on, take that out. Taxes, take that out. There's no way that these people are doing it merely for the money, is my point. They're doing, even if you think about doctors, they have to take a Hippocratic oath of wanting to preserve life and doing the best they can in that field. You may think about the money of being a doctor, right? But do you know how long it takes to be a doctor? The process of going to medical school and doing residency, it's only for people who have a passion in it. It's not for somebody who's just doing it for the money and the title. You have to have a passion in it. And the doctors that make the most money are the doctors who do surgery. This is, I mean, unless maybe y'all know something that I don't, which is fine. Alhamdulillah, we're always happy to learn. But the surgeons are the ones who make the most bread. Y'all remember Dr. Strange with his little gloves and stuff? He was ruined when he couldn't do surgery anymore. That's when he had to start selling his watches. May Allah keep us all safe. So, saying all that to say, it takes a certain type of passion to be able to cut another human being up, stand over their body, their unconscious body for 10 hours, and try to keep them from dying or do whatever you can to preserve their life. It takes a lot of passion to do that. So all of these things become types of service to health, service to education, service to tarbiyah, like nurturing and upbringing and character development for people. Find something that you can give service to. Some people, they give their service through MSA. Some people, they give their service through different clubs. I know at ICM, they had like Toastmasters, they had those programming classes, they had the Lego robotics, where these genius kids were taking over and putting people on game with that. I couldn't come within 10 feet of it because my brain is fried. I'm like, what? Robot, Legos, you mean Bionicles, or, you know, it's too much for my little brain, but you see the people that are putting in the effort for that. Give service is something that's the best way to fill your cup. When you begin to question your life, when you begin to question the value of what you're doing in a day, it's probably because you're spending so much time not doing anything for anyone other than yourself. So service to your family is super important. Service to community is super important. Whatever you can do, try to do your best to give service to it. Just like how if you had the chance, now, alhamdulillah, we know gambling and lotteries and stuff like this is haram, so we're not going for the mega millions, jackpots and all this other stuff. But you know, there are people who go broke gambling and trying to hit the lottery. For us, the lottery is the akhirah, and it's not a game of probability. It's a game. It's not even a game. It's a matter of investing in your stocks in the akhirah, right? Cash in on all opportunities to invest in those stocks. The more you invest in the stocks of the akhirah, the more your heart will feel content in this dunya. There's a quote on service and activism. Sometimes I make my slides hard on me. I will like put a reference like 2044, Tafsir Baghawi, Yahya ibn Mu'adh, and it's like I have to decode my own. I didn't even put a quote on service and activism. There's so many quotes on service and activism, but I guess the one that past me was trying to tell present me, for the future me who will be giving this on YouTube, I suppose, is activism without spirituality is ostentation. Activism, spirituality without activism is an aberration. Okay, activism without spirituality is ostentation, and spirituality without activism is an aberration. What does that mean? It means if you are active and you're not doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not doing it for spiritual reasons, then you're only doing it to show off. Yeah, you can say Black Lives Matter. Yeah, you can get behind the rights of these marginalized groups of people, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you need to do it for the sake of Allah. Otherwise, you're just doing it to say that you did it, right? And if you claim to be someone who is religious, someone who fears Allah, you see yourself as someone who is spiritual, and you literally are completely inactive with your family and in your community, then everything that you think about your spirituality and your religiosity, it's an apparition. It's a complete ghost. It's non-existent. It's not there. So the ideal Muslim is spiritual and active, not spiritual and inactive, or active and not spiritual, or unreligious. We don't have this concept of, well, they're a good person, they're just not religious. No. Religious people are good people. We don't have this concept of they're religious, but they're bad people. Not in Islam, maybe in culture, maybe in people, but not in the perfected deen of Allah Jalla Jalal. No. You're not going to be active and non-religious. No. You're going to be active because you're religious. And the benefits of learning and teaching is just like what we said at the beginning of the class today. If you really want to be able to incarnate your notes and to understand these concepts that you learn in the deen, some people, they want to, memorize the Quran. They want to study Islam formally. Some people, they want to, get into IT. They want to get into comp sci. They want to get into medicine. The best way to learn is to teach. So obviously in Islam, you try to seek out opportunities to be a mentor, to be a teacher, to benefit other people, not just hoard the knowledge for yourself. That's not the point of learning in this deen. No, you learn so that you can benefit other people with it for the sake of Allah. But it doesn't just stop there. Some of you are genius in math. Some of you are genius in English. Some of you are genius in, what's it called? Biology, it kills people. Chemistry, physics, bio, these are the big three. They slaughter you in high school. They slaughter you in college. It makes you, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, Zabiha meat. But some of you, you excel at this and it's easy on you. Tutor, help your friends, set up something in the masjid. Lord knows the Muslim community is severely lacking in offering secular learning resources where people come back and they give. One example that I think of is Brother Mahin Khan, tutoring and helping people with, mashallah, I don't want to say too much about him because I don't want to enter in the realm of backbiting. You know, saying good about some people is backbiting from their tawaddu, from their humility. May Allah bless him, make him better than I think of him, forgive him for what I say about him, and not take him into account for what I don't know of him. Allah, ameen. But another example too is Ismail Ibrahim. He used to, do tutoring in mathematics, or even Rakan Diabakali. He used to do tutoring in biology because he was a high school teacher. These are the types of resources that, this is just what I'm aware of within the triangle. These are the type of resources. Go give back, give back. It will help you. It will help you whenever it comes time for you to pursue your career in whatever field you choose, or with your own family. It'll place barakah in what you do. So the merits of giving back are simple. The beauty of Islam is service in all fields, right? So when you give, it gives back. When you give to others, it gives back to you in this life and the next. And if you're not going to do it, then best believe someone else will step up and do it. So you might as well get the hasanat from it. And so understanding when it comes to service, you do have everything to gain by giving, but you also have everything to lose by being stagnant. So try to find something that you can do for the sake of Allah when it comes to giving service back to others. So are there any questions, comments, concerns, additions, omissions, suggestions, or objections to anything that we shared today? This may not be a quick question, but how do you prevent / get rid of resentment in your heart from dealing with people? Wallahi, this is something that anybody who works in the masajid, anyone who works in the field of service, you are inevitably going to feel some resentment in your heart. People talk about you, they talk about you behind your back. The more visible you become in any given circle, even if you're not at the platform of a public speaker or anything like that, if the Prophet ﷺ was tested with this, that you're going to be tested with it. So that resentment, wallahi, to this day, there's some people I have to continuously ask Allah, oh Allah, please. You just have to make dua for them. Please, Allah, forgive them, bless them, increase them. That's the first way. The first way to get rid of your resentment in your heart from dealing with people is to make dua for the people that even thinking about it, start to get emotional. Because Allah knows, like, some people, they broke my heart over the years, like in so many different ways. But I want you to know that this is something that the Prophet ﷺ, he dealt with too. He dealt with this as well. Having people that were with him his entire life that saw him as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. The minute he came with the sound message, they flipped on him. So step number one, make dua. You just have to make dua. Step number two is really, really hard, is to put yourself in their service. When people wrong you, you have to put yourself in their service. You have to. The people who talk down about you behind your back and who diminish your efforts and diminish your work, you're going to run into this. Khairul Khalqillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best of creation, alayhi salatu wasalam, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, he faced this. You're going to face it. If you're on his path, you're going to face it. It's inevitable. But the Prophet ﷺ was in the service of the people who despised him, in the service of those people by bringing them Islam. He did not restrict his message even to the people that broke his heart. With the things that they did, one of the things that Ibn al-Qayyim said about his teacher, Ibn Taymiyyah, is I wish I could treat my enemies the way that I wish I could treat my loved ones the way that he treated his enemies. I was with foes driving around, and one of the shuyukh was mentioning this quote from Madarij al-Salikin by Ibn al-Qayyim. He brought the quote of Ibn Taymiyyah. He brought the quote saying, I wish I could treat my loved ones the way that he treated his enemies. I just wish that I could. Any of you who study Islam enough, you're going to find that people, they said a lot of bad things about Ibn Taymiyyah in the past and to this day. Not a lot of people compared to the ones who talked about his merits, rahimahullah. But one of his enemies died, Ibn al-Qayyim. He said, I went to go tell him, I give him glad tidings that this guy who was your opponent, he died. He said Ibn Taymiyyah completely rebuked me. He rebuked me because of this.
And then he went to their family. He said, from this day on, the person that you lost, consider me to be the person that I will step in. I will fulfill all of you. Now his wording was a little bit different, but we just bringing that hate toward those people. Just the person that you lost. Imagine someone that you know, your loved one was, he hated him their entire life. Well, as soon as he dies, that person, he comes, he says, hey, look, sorry for your loss. Whatever they did for you, count on me. I'm going to do the same for you. This is the hilyat, the adornment of a person who believes in Allah. This is what ihsan looks like. So we ask Allah to give us the ihsan. Allahumma ameen. It is hard, sister, but you know, start with the dua and then put yourself in the service of those who speak out against you or say bad things about you. And last but not least, do not attach your heart to the opinions of the people. Because oftentimes when people speak bad about you, it's because they are getting you the hasanat that your lack of worship cannot help you reach. Think about this. When people begin to speak bad about you, it's because they are getting you the hasanat that your deeds are not able to help you reach. So you just doing your thing, and people, they say this about you, they talk bad about you, you know that you back. That's all hasanat for you in the hereafter, because you're too lazy to get up and pray Qiyam al-Layl. You don't fast enough, and you don't, but they do. They do. they pray Qiyam, they read Quran. You may be too lazy to read the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes, but they do. But they also got the energy to backbite you. So, alhamdulillah, guess who gets to get that hasanat? You do. So, at the end of the day, you can be optimistic. This is why I believe it was Imam al-Nawawi, but it may have been someone else. It was probably like Ibn Hajar or Ibn Hazm or Ibn al-Jawzi, someone who's like get that sharp tongue. It's like, I love it when they backbite me. Yeah. I think it was Hassan al-Basri. He heard that someone was backbiting him and saying bad things about him. He brought him a basket of fruit. He said, here, thank you. Thank me for what? For your deeds. I appreciate it. So, inshallah, these 3 steps. First, making dua for them. Second, putting yourself in the service of the people who speak bad about you. And then third, being optimistic in the reward with Allah. Inshallah, with these 3, it will help remove the resentment from your hearts. We ask Allah to soften our hearts and to unite the ummah. Allahumma ameen. Any other question, comments, concerns, additions, or objections? Anyone? Anything? Muslim youth are often described to be cliquey, yes, including the Islamic school with the K, kids, etc. How do we get out of that culture of cliquiness? You know, the thing is, when it comes to like subhanAllah, it doesn't even exist with kids, man. Like the people, like, I'll give you an example. I can only speak for the brothers, and sometimes even for the sisters. The brother who wears a thobe gets outcasted by the people who don't. The person who does not wear a thobe gets outcasted by the people. The sister who wears niqab gets outcasted by the ones who don't. The person who does not wear hijab gets outcasted by the ones who do. The people who go to the masjid often outcast the one who does not. The ones who do not go to the masjid often outcast the ones who do. It's just like the core of the issue is being judgmental. It's being judgmental and think it's a type of spiritual elitism that makes you think, I may not be as religious as you, but I'm better than you because I'm not religious. Or I may not be as secular as you, but I'm better than you because I'm not secular. This is not what makes people better than the other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse 13, he tells us who's the best of all of an-nas, of all of mankind. It's very simple. It's the person who has taqwa. How do you know who has taqwa and who does not? Allah at the end of the ayah describes himself with the names and attributes of Al-Alim Al-Khabir, meaning Allah is all-knowing of the one who is the akram amongst you, the most noble amongst you, because Allah knows who has taqwa. It's not for you to determine. And Allah is Al-Khabir, aware of the intimate and secret details, the subtle nuance of every single person, which you're not even aware of yourself. Al-Khabir is aware of it. So the things that make us different, that we judge each other on, are really areas that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly knows the most about us in. But because we become so consumed with outward appearance, or, oh, you're with those people, or you go to NC States, or you went to Ali Man School, or you're so judgmental. The only way to break that cliquiness is to understand that what unites us is greater than what divides us. The things that we judge each other over is so petty compared to the things that actually we should not judge each other for at all. We're united we're united in Islam. We're united under the banner of Tawheed. We're united upon the Shahada. We're united upon our practice of Islam. Even at its most basic level, Allah united us with the 5 pillars of Islam. Even at its most basic level, Allah united us with the 6 pillars of faith. The things that bring us together are the bonds of faith, as Allah mentioned in the same chapter, chapter 49, verse number 10. Without fail, unequivocally, the believing men and the believing women, we're only brothers and sisters to each other. This is how Allah described this. If I'm your brother and you're my sister, if you're my sister and you're my brother, we're brothers and y'all are sisters, then, I mean, subhanAllah, why would you try to break something that Allah said unites us, which is Iman? The people who have faith are only ikhwa, they're brothers and sisters to each other. So Allah said our faith is what unites us with a bond that is stronger than blood. Why would you try to come up with something like a thawb or a hijab or a niqab or going to a masjid or going to this school versus going to that school? Why would you try to use that to sever the ties that Allah united us with? The greatest clique that we can all have is being upon the clique of being Muslim. So if we get away from these subgroups that we marginalize each other in, the labeling fallacy, they're Salafi, they're Wahhabi, they're Sufi, they're liberal, they're feminist, they're progressive. Labeling fallacy. The minute you give something a label is the minute that you fail to understand it. So whenever you make someone else an other, just like how we see in the socio-political climate of our country, they're black, we're white, we're black, and the minute you make someone else an other, or you move away from the unity of being mankind, humanity, the minute that you get away from that, and then begin to focus on these little things like melanin dilation, or the minute you get away from focusing on the things that unite us, for example, like Islam, and start to make up your own clique, greatest clique we can be in is the clique of Muslims. The minute we start to have this mentality is the minute that this cliqueness will go away, and people who don't feel accepted will be accepted. People who feel marginalized will be generalized. Generalized? Is that the opposite of marginalization? Generalization? Yeah, inshallah ta'ala. So may Allah make us the clique of Islam, not the clique of others. Long-winded, but I hope I answered your question. We ask Allah to unite us upon Islam. We ask Allah to give us the tawfiq in our time and barakah in our time. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us barakah in our friendships and to give us the best of companionship in this life and the next. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and to give us access to service. Last thing I'll say about service, and then we'll close with this. It's a blessing from Allah that Allah puts you in a position to be able to give service. So if you find that you don't have an opportunity to give service in the deen of Allah or or to people in general, then it's almost like a deprivation. So if you don't have the opportunity, make the opportunity. If you find you cannot make it, make dua to Allah that Allah facilitated for you. Okay? Barakakum Allahu Rabbil Alameen wa ja'alakum manarwatan muwahideen. May Allah bless each and every single one of you. And may Allah join us amongst the shining lights of the representatives of Tawheed. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh.